What's up, everyone? I make music as Sweater On Polo, and yeah, this is a hardware production workshop, and thank you everyone for coming. Yeah, if you want to really gather around the table and really if you really want to look at it, you're welcome to get as close as you want. But yeah, I'm just gonna kind of walk through my approach to hardware production and kind of how and why I got into it. So pretty much when it comes to making electronic music, there's a lot of options that we have these days. You can make music on Fruity Loops, Ableton, Cubase, Logic, whatever you want, but the hardware approach is a little bit more primitive and older, and you're still kind of using technology of the past to kind of make it all happen. And they're still manufacturing a lot of new hardware pieces these days. But for my approach, I'm very inspired by kind of bringing together the vintage approach to production and also kind of making it contemporary by using new hardware and new methods of production. So yeah, a lot of my approach is very inspired by like the artists who pioneered Chicago house music, whether it's like Marshall Jefferson, Larry Heard, Jesse Saunders. Like these are all very much artists that I would listen to a lot for a lot of references and just to learn how to make Chicago-style house music. But what kind of got me hooked onto hardware production at first was a lot of, was more in the late 2010s. A lot of artists like Hieroglyphic Being, John Heckel, a lot of Lies artists like Tariq, Bookworms, Steve Summers, When the Gollies Ghosts, these were artists that were doing a lot of live hardware production. And while I was because I started out making music on the computer, when I started seeing a lot of these electronic music producers playing their machines out, it really inspired me to just try it out, and it looked fun, and it looked inspiring as well. So yeah, I guess I'm just kind of gonna walk through each of the pieces of gear I have and kind of tell you how all these machines kind of speak to each other. So the main brain of my hardware setup that kind of keeps everything in sync by MIDI clock and also able to send MIDI information out to the other synthesizers is the Electron Octatrack. This is kind of what they call, what I call just the brain of the setup. So basically, from this machine, I can send notes to a synthesizer. So I'm gonna send a note to the SH-01A, and that's like a Roland instrument. And this is like a bass line. So yeah, it acts as a keyboard, and you can kind of record notes from the Octatrack into all these various synthesizers. And then, yeah, I have two drum machines and the TR-08. It's a 808 clone, and then this is an original Roland TR-707. And yeah, I kind of just program the drums on these machines and combine it with the notes that I'm sending from the Octatrack and the synths. And then once the clock is running and everything is all synced up, it kind of all orchestrates itself. So yeah, I guess just to kind of start out, I'm just gonna introduce a song and just kind of, yeah, get it going, just because sometimes it's a lot easier to see it when you can hear it as well. So here we go. Just gonna press play. So right now I have some drums playing from the Octatrack, and yeah, just like I programmed some drum beats in the Octatrack. It's a sampler, so you can like program your own drums. And yeah, and then introduce a kick. Yeah, kind of like let that ride out. Now I'm going to introduce a bass line. So right now, the Octatrack is sending bass line notes to the SH-101. I programmed that all in. Now I'm going to introduce some other machines that I'm also sending from the Octatrack to the other things. Does anybody have any questions so far? Because I know this can be kind of fast. Anything?
I'm curious about, like, I don't know much about the Octatrack.
Yeah.
But can you like set a specific scale to, like, you said you play it with MIDI.
Right.
Is there a specific, like, do you do like, you know, Dorian, like,
No.
et cetera, or like?
Just the whatever the classic Western scale.
And is it,
Yeah.
like, do you prefer like using that over like just a normal like MIDI keyboard? Like, what are the advantages of using that instead of like?
Honestly, it's just the simplest way. I mean, I don't even know how to set it to Dorian scale, honestly. It's like I tried to keep the process as simple as possible. I try not to like do too much with the trying to like set the scales and the settings. Like honestly, I kind of just like use the presets from the synths and just try my best to kind of like program it to do what I want to. But yeah, I try to make everything as simple as possible. So yeah, just whatever regular scale that there is. All right, so I'm gonna press play, keep it going. All right, so I'm gonna introduce the Juno. So right now, this is what's controlling the strings. Right now, that vocal sample is playing from the Octatrack. You can load in a lot of samples in there, so I decided just to load in a nice acapella from a record by Matt Warren on AKA Music. It's an old Chicago record. I love this acapella. Different patterns. And see, what's so funny about hardware production is that there's so many little details, and it's so easy for me to like kind of like glaze over it because I'm just like so used to it. Please, if anyone has any questions. Dennis.
Explain what MIDI is and how all the devices start at the same time.
All right, I can explain what MIDI is, and I'm going to explain it as simple as possible. So what MIDI is basically how we get all the machines talking to each other. When I press play, it triggers a signal that all the other machines should play. we don't need to necessarily get into all the magic and the electricity that's running through all the MIDI that makes it all happen, but when you press the play button and this chord is plugged into that chord, and then it goes into the MIDI in from that machine, and then it has MIDI out, and then it's like a daisy chain of MIDI. So it just like from one machine to the next, it's all connected via MIDI. So yeah, if that answers your question, Dennis.
When you're programming your songs, like, do you do like 16s, 12, like, or the 32s, like, what
Yeah. It kind of all depends. So you're talking about like the
basically because you're programming different sections to
Right.
make sense, but then you
Yeah.
gotta switch that up as you're. I mean, you throw long sets, so it's like you gotta cover hours.
Oh, exactly. So basically, I have a bunch of different patterns with different MIDI notes, with different sequences, and basically, yeah, all the patterns have.
You like make like one song kind of vibe, like
Ye-
are the drums that you're sending like right now you just did the strings and the
Right.
it's just are those linked to each other, or could you like send a different sequence? You know what I'm saying? Like, can I send
Yeah.
a set of MIDI to the strings?
Right. So
Like a song, like where they're all linked to each
So all the synthesizers, they're running on their own channel. So right now I have the Juno, which is the strings, and that's on channel 3. And then the Juno is on channel 4. And yeah, so it's on different channels.
You have different sets of like synth that you can, or MIDI that you can send to it throughout your set.
Right. Yeah. So basically, yeah, the patterns, they have like,
Do you first like go through your drums and then start throwing different bass lines? Like you use your drums as like the anchor?
Yeah, exactly. So basically, it's like I build out all my drum patterns, and then, yeah, it's all really simple, It's like I program my drums, I lay a bass line on top of it, and then lay some strings or piano or something like that, and then once I feel like I have like enough elements, basically to make a track is basically just taking elements in and out.
I guess the hard part about I see that is like keeping that up for like an hour, right? Like, or not enough for extended periods of time. Like one song's okay, but like,
Right, yeah. I mean, no, I try. So when it comes to my live set, I try to introduce as many different ideas as possible. Basically, different songs are associated either on different banks or different patterns. See, the live set setup is like, it's a lot. Everyone kind of has their own approach, and I feel like every machine kind of has their own approach.
like a piece that I've never had an octave.
So an octatrack is a lot more intuitive when it comes to live performance. Some people use an MPC. Some people use like the Teenage Engineering, OP6, stuff like that. Kind of the language, the machines you use, although like there's some overlap in the language, each machine kind of has their own language. So I could be even just talking like, although like MIDI, all that stuff is kind of universal, there are some things about the octatrack that are very unique. But I try to keep it all very simple. Basically I'm just like, when I'm playing live, I'm just switching patterns back and forth, and then I'm transitioning to another song with the drum machines, and yeah. So how about this? I'm just gonna start playing and performing, and then, yeah, let's see how the questions come through afterwards. Okay. Yeah, right now we have an 808 beat playing, and that's how that's what I use to transition from one song to the next. This is kind of using a fun 808 beat, something really simple, and now I have this kind of singing vocal over top of it. Sounds beautiful with the drums. It's not even synced. It's just kind of doing its own thing. Yeah. Now I'm going to introduce another drum machine to basically transition to another track after this one. So now we have the 808 going. Or sorry, the 707 from the 808. now I'm gonna introduce like a disco edit into the fold, and that's gonna come from the sampler, the Octatrack. Sample. Yeah, this is kind of how I just go through it, you know, like I try to incorporate all these different ideas, whether it's like house ideas, some disco edits, you know, and just kind of transitioning with the drum machines.
wizardry clone, doing some like acid house.
So, yeah. that's like, yeah, that's like a rough cut of just like how I kind of go through my live hardware set. Yeah, maybe you caught some details and any questions? Hey.
When you're bringing like scenes or instruments or fills in and out,
Yeah.
does it just like depend on the brain of each machine? Like I can't tell if you're doing it through the mixer or
So, yeah, when it comes to the rhythms, basically, I always try to let the drum machines kind of be doing their own thing. I don't have the drum machines being MIDI controlled by anything, only the synths, because I can't program. Oh, you can, but at least I don't want to like program like bass lines and stuff like on the synth. So I rather send notes from the Octatrack, the brain, to the synthesizers and keyboards, except for the 303. The 303 clone, the Behringer, that can that does its own thing. I make bass lines on that, you know, like that just like.
There's a bunch of different bass lines on there. But yeah.
So, yeah, when I'm switching like patterns and stuff, it's like I'm switching patterns on the drum machines, then I'm also switching patterns on the Electron Octatrack, and kind of keeping a notebook, which kind of keeps everything organized, at least for me, so I don't have to remember where to navigate, and so I can, you know, notes are important, just have by your side when you're trying to perform all this and keep track of all these machines, because just as much as it can even be hard to follow everything I'm doing, it can also just as hard to kind of explain every single little thing that I'm doing. So that's why your questions like that, they help so much. Did that answer your question? Okay, thank you.
do you have like a limit on how many you can daisy chain, or like how many instruments can your Octatrack
So,
or synths?
yeah, I think I'm only limited. So the Octatrack is a beautiful machine, but it sure does have its limitations. So, I mean, there are machines where you can kind of daisy chain like almost like an unlimited amount, like hundreds of MIDI channels. But for the Octatrack, you can only control 8 different machines at once. Luckily, I only kind of take advantage of maybe like 2 or 3 at most. So I can kind of like navigate within those limitations, and I think that's kind of what helped me like produce music, and also with my live setup is like having those limitations in place to just kind of, you know, make sure I'm not like just like having too much mess within the production. Like every single song you guys heard, there's maybe like at most like 4 machines going, but it's usually just like 2 or 3 machines going at once, and then I'll like transition, bring up another machine. So yeah, there's never too many things going on at once. It's all very simple and bare bones, but it's just, yeah, it kind of just like the dynamics of it is kind of like knowing when to bring things in, when to bring things out, and kind of keeping it interesting and groovy and not too messy. So I'd say, yeah, just try to, you know, have some limitations when using hardware, because really I could accomplish everything on just like 2 machines or even 1, you know? Like I don't really need all of this to do what I'm doing. It's kind of just like all these machines have their different characteristics, and I like them, and they kind of like help me with my style and my approach. But I mean, if I wanted to just play music, I could just kind of like just use the brain, you know, because that kind of has everything I need within it.
Is it also the master club?
Yeah, exactly. It's also the master.
For even the drum machine?
Yeah, for the drum machines as well. Everything's all MIDI synced. Yeah. Yep. Any more questions?
I'm assuming those are pre-made sequences, right?
Yeah, so I prepared those in the studio, like either the week before, the day before, or months ago, and they're kind of just like there, saved in it.
If you don't mind, could you make one?
Yeah, of course, I can make. You want me to make a track from scratch right here? That's a challenge that I'm always up for, dude. Yeah, make a 5-minute sketch. All right. So yeah, let's just make a simple house track. How about that? So usually I just like to start with the kick. All right. Let's see. 1, 2, 3. Let's put it on the 1.
Got a 707 kick. All right, now I'm gonna add some hats in. Whoa, that sounds crazy. Now we're in it, you know? Now we're gonna try to lay down some type of bass line. Let's see what we can do with some bass line. So yeah, I'm gonna use the SH-101 clone boutique, Roland boutique. Just do like some type of simple bass line. Yeah, and then the simple thing, just add some strings, you know, make it dark, make it real moody, and like. Less than 5 minutes, and all you gotta do, you know, take stuff out, bring stuff in. Maybe we'll add some like pianos, because I like pianos. Pianos are fun to kind of mess around with. I gotta drop everything out. I think I need both hands for this.
Yeah, it's all just like that. Yeah, that's how house music is made, pretty much, or at least that style of house. Yeah, just like super bare bones stuff. Like when you're producing music, it shouldn't. You should just find an approach where you can kind of just let it. It's almost like when I'm with my machines, it's like I can just sit down and just play the flute. It's like it's tactile, it's immediate, and that's kind of what draws me to using hardware. It's the fact that if you want to make a drum beat, boom, got the drum machine, and then the drum machine just does its own thing, and then you can just move on to the synthesizer, program a little bass line in, and yeah, it's just really immediate and tactile, and like even
You can kind of like, you can make like wild noises with like some of this stuff, like, and then I don't know, these machines, they make crazy alien sounds that, they're very unique to the machines. Hey, not every sound sounds good,
but it's like you can just you can make an ugly sound good, even just gotta tweak around and have fun. Like that's what it's all about, just having fun and experimenting. Like I think what is so fun about hardware production is that it just kind of welcomes experimentation. You can kind of manipulate these machines to do crazy things, and like you can put them through a guitar pedal and something crazy will come out on the other end. You can do that also with like software stuff. It's you can find a way to do it with a computer, and it might even be a lot easier to do with a computer, honestly. But I don't know. It's just like there's a little bit more hands-on when you're doing this stuff, and yeah, you just kind of. It's always fun to let the machines do the talking sometimes instead of like, all it's resting on your shoulders too. Yeah. What was your question?
So I like that you just compared it to software, because I feel like I am a software guy, and you're calling this the brain because that's your like main.
Yeah. Oh yeah. This is running on like an OS, so it's not like this is an analog instrument, but it is just a piece of hardware equipment. So like, when it comes to the whole hardware software thing, I'm not necessarily saying like this is all strictly like analog versus digital. All these synthesizers, like this drum machine, this is digital. It's not like there's no analog going on in there.
I think like what I mean is like translation-wise,
Yeah.
that's basically like your sequencer or your note,
Yeah.
running this to an instrument or a plug-in,
Right.
to an effects rack,
Right.
and you're essentially like the automation.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, exactly. And I think but it's like manual automation. Exactly. It's like, it's not so like click, drag type of automation. It's like very fast. And I think that's what, like, that's why it's so fun to kind of like fiddle around and like twist the knobs, is the fact that it's like so fast and easy to automate everything. Just like, and you just got to feel it out, and just use your ear and use your hands and just play around.
Where you can get really like mathy. I feel like this feels a lot more human. Like even sometimes I see you bring an instrument and you're like, nah, not that one.
Yeah, no,
So,
exactly.
yeah,
Yeah. It's like, yeah, but it's almost like, like how on Ableton or like FL Studio, you can like click on like a different snare, like you can just keep like, oh, which snare sounds with which kick. I like, you know, that's why like I like these like basic drum machines because you only have one option of like a kick and a snare. You know, like it doesn't have so many options. You know, so that's why like I don't have to think about too much things. I just go in and play, and yeah, just like how like we just made that beat right now. Yeah, that's just like that's cool to me. Oh yeah. Oh, okay. We have time for one more question. Who's gonna hit that? Yeah.
Question, unless somebody else wants.
No, hey.
I was wondering, like, how many iterations did it take you to like figure out that this was like the setup for you? Like, I'm sure like depending on like different shows, you might use different pieces of hardware.
Right.
Like, what do you like about this particular setup?
I think so. The Octatrack was the brain. The Octatrack was the first machine that I feel like I got because I was always geared to kind of want to play live, and I think every machine I ever like purchased afterwards was to kind of just be able to take out and play live. I've definitely bought and sold gear along the way, but at certain points, like I've always like used it for records or to play out with. And yeah, all of these machines, these are all the same machines that I make records with. So I feel like my studio is kind of like, I want to be able to like make music in the studio and then bring it out and perform it for people immediately. So that kind of, my decisions on purchasing gear and acquiring all this hardware, it's very much, yeah, that's kind of like the reason in my head. It's like, can I take this out? Can I just like fit it in a backpack? Is it easy? You know, like some people have like really big synthesizers and like I just couldn't imagine trying to like bring all of that out. So yeah, all these like little pocket machines, I think, take advantage of them. And, you know, I think for me, at least, they get the job done. You know, I don't necessarily care if they don't sound the best, as long as it just sounds good enough. For me, that's it. You know, like as long as like everything kind of cuts through the mix and like sounds punchy and cool, use it. You know, you know. So, yeah, and I think that is it. Thank you so much. Thank you, Red Bull. Thank you, Level 3. Thank you all for coming. I hope, you know, you guys learned something. Sorry if like I feel like I skipped over so many weird little details. But yeah, thank you again. It's an honor for me to be able to showcase this stuff. I feel like I never really get to do that so much. So this is like a very much you know, it's very close to me. I hold it very dear to my heart. So thank you again.
Give it up for Sweater On Polo one more time. Thank you everybody for coming out. And we are now transitioning into the testing session. So as you guys saw, there's a lot of equipment being used up here, but we have the TR-08 back there. There's 6 stations with 2 headphones each. So feel free to grab a partner and go back there if you want. Yeah, yeah, and he'll be floating around to help people out if they need any tips on how to use it. But yeah, thank you guys for coming through. Thank you to Science Please for having us. And yeah, we have one more session coming up next week, next Saturday at Elsewhere Chat Room. We have an incredibly special guest that I can't share right now, but you'll see it somewhere on our socials in a couple days. Is that okay? So our guest next week, next Saturday, we have a listening session with Theo Parrish, moderated by Lovey. That's going to be at Elsewhere Chat Room. There's only 100 spots, so we haven't announced it yet, but just letting you guys know. But yeah, feel free to move to the back of the room, test out what you want to test out. Have a great rest of your day.